So you're thinking of moving to Columbia, South Carolina, and any of its surrounding areas here in the Midlands. Well, you have came to the right spot. My name is Chad. This is my channel where we talk about things in a way that it's unscripted, down to earth, just like you're sitting across from your best friend talking about life with a special emphasis on real estate. Now, in this video, what we're going to do is we're actually going to talk about VA benefits. The Columbia area has huge Army base, Fort Jackson, that is comprised of over 55,000 acres. It makes up a big portion of this city's economics and how we do business. So we do a lot of VA loans with real estate, and there are benefits in addition to that with South Carolina that will help you out in your loan process. First time home buyers that are veterans, that are active military, that are transferring in here to Fort Jackson. Then we're going to go to there's Shaw Air Force Base that is on its way out to Sumter, not too far outside the city here. And then we're also going to talk about McIntyre. And then if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a fact about VA loans that only about 10% of even lenders out there know that you can do. I just found this out recently and I couldn't believe it. You do not want to miss this fact. Let's get into it then with that. Now, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about Columbia and the surrounding area, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell, and you can be first to know about the current market here in Columbia, South Carolina. As I said before, my name's Chad, and I get to hear from people just like you all the time, and I absolutely love it because I get to build relationships. I personally have been in Columbia nearly all my life, so I know it better than most. So whether you're moving here in 7 days, 70 days, or even within the next year, go ahead, give me a call, text, email. Better yet, go ahead, click on the calendar link in my banner and set up a 30 to 45-minute Zoom call where I can share my screen with you. We go ahead and get you on a search through the MLS, which is the best way to do it because you can factor in so many more things with it, but get you on a search and I can find out more and tailor to you exactly the best way to get you started in this process. Now, all my information is in the description below, so you can get hold of me. It will be me you deal with when we do that. Let's start off with talking about Fort Jackson. Then what we're actually going to do is go inside the computer, and I want to show you a little bit about the military base and how it's almost a city within a city and what it does for Columbia, South Carolina, the economy, and how it works to better fuel this city and how it's a plus to have it here. Fort Jackson is actually the largest and most active initial entry training center in the entire U.S. for the Army. All of the initial trainees that come in, Fort Jackson trains over 50% of all of them. They train in excess of 45,000 recruits every single year. Now, that's just for the initial entry recruits. They also train an additional 12,000 each year for the additional training centers that they have on base, such as the Soldier Support Institute, Chaplain Center and School for the entire Army, and also the Drill Sergeant School. And so those are specialized centers that they also train on the base itself as well. Now, Fort Jackson was actually formed in 1917 just for the World War I, and it was called Camp Jackson, not Fort Jackson. And it pretty much existed through World War I and then was shut down. Then on top of that, when World War II came about, it was pretty much opened up again, training for soldiers, all of that. And in 1950, the president actually tried to shut it down again, but then the Korean War came. So we kept it open even more. And since then, it is gone and extended to one of the top Army bases in the nation, especially for training initial recruits that are coming into the Army. Now, in 1968, Fort Jackson's been here in Columbia the entire time, but in 1968, Fort Jackson was annexed and incorporated into Columbia, South Carolina, because there was already a mutual beneficial relationship, whereas we were helping each other out. So they made it part of the Fort Jackson, part of the Columbia city limits in 1968. And one of the reasons they did that, what Columbia gets out of that. So soldiers, civilians, retirees, family members all make up the Fort Jackson community. I mean, there's a load of people there. 3,500 civilian employees employed there that actually work. So that fuels a lot of Columbia, South Carolina, and gives them things there. And they also service over 46,000 retirees through Fort Jackson. Now, 1/3 of all the employees live on the base. So, which means 2/3 lives out in the community. You can, and a lot of those are in Northeast Columbia. They can be in downtown Forest Acres area. If you go watch my Northeast vlog, pros and cons, the map video, I show you a lot of that when it comes to much of that stuff too. It's a huge impact on Columbia when it was incorporated, to the aspect that annual expenditures just by Fort Jackson exceed 716 million every year going into the economy here. Now, on top of that, but it's on over 52,000 acres. A lot of that was donated even from Columbia residents and stuff when it was Fort Jackson was expanded. Now what we're going to do is let's go inside the computer. It comes right down this road here. Yeah, Fort Jackson National Cemetery. This is the 52,000 acres down 77. You're coming up through here. Come up this way. Go up 601. And you cut across. That's pretty much Fort Jackson. It is not. All of this in here is the 50,000 acres. They do have an airport in there too for military vehicles. And most all that's done in Shaw Air Force Base and even McEntire Air National Guard. But it is all mainly right in here. Now, you can see Columbia and the outskirts of Columbia through here is mainly, it goes around 77 here. That is the main part of Columbia. So what you can see is 77. Most people come off 77 here and they go straight into Fort Jackson Boulevard, which branches off Forest Drive downtown. And this branches into all the roads, to living facilities, all of that within Fort Jackson. Let's expand, and I want to show you how this is like a city inside a city. You can see over here, U.S. Army Chaplain Center and School. It's over there. They have a water park here. They have the Fort Jackson Theater. You can see over here. And it's an actual theater. They have movies, they have plays, they have all kinds of stuff. This is places where they have an arcade, they have bowling alleys. You can see the theater here. They've got so much stuff. You've got Pizza Hut Express. There's a Starbucks in here. There is golf course. There's a vet clinic. The vet clinic here. You can see, I mean, anything that you would normally use in a regular city, you have here. And this is the Fort Jackson Golf Club here. A lot of people go out there just to, there's more than just golf pictures in there. But again, like I said, and a lot of this is open to the public. The museum is always open to the public. PT field, parking, Ivy Lanes, that's what you saw, the bowling alley, Darby Field. There's what I wanted to show you too. Palmetto Water Park. I've taken my boys here many times. They're so big they even have a lazy river. This is the lazy river going right through this way. It's not a huge water park, but it's also got a putt-putt range. And they've got a lot of small slides for young kids, etc., like that. It's the only one really here in Columbia, besides the splash pad and all I showed you as well. Fort Jackson Boulevard, right there on Forest Drive. There's a Walmart's all out there. There's more out here on Strong Thorn Boulevard, just past 77. Sam's Club is out there. There's Trader Joe's all through there. They have ranges. They have over 100 fields and ranges that are on Fort Jackson. Now, there are certain ones that you can visit on base, but if you're not visiting one of those areas, it is tough to get inside too. It is a national military base. The biggest thing I wanted to show you was on this was a lot of these. It is like a city inside of a city when you're talking about that much area. Shaw Air Force Base started back in World War II. Now, it is only on 3,429 acres, so it's not as big, but they trained over 8,600 pilots during World War II, which is what it was built for, and they still do a lot of that. Now, if you go back to my Southeastern video, my flip home I'm doing out on Motley Road, they have, when I had been doing some work out there, they're constantly jets flying over from there and McEntire Air Force Base as well. Now, Shaw is a little closer to Sumter. It's probably from Columbia, take you less than 30 minutes to get there. So a lot of Shaw Air Force Base stuff does come to Columbia as well. A lot of people that are come in through Columbia Metropolitan Airport if they're visiting Shaw, etc., when they come through that way. Now, the other is McEntire Joint National Guard Base. It's owned by the Air Force, but the South Carolina Air National Guard uses it, and it is home to the 169th Fighter Wing, which flies specialized F-16s and other jets too that are preparedness from a national perspective and for things even here in South Carolina Air National Guard. That's all the military. I just wanted to show you that is a lot of what plays. McEntire is all 10 minutes from downtown Columbia, so close to Columbia as well, even though it's not in Columbia town limits. So a lot of that has a play too. Recruits, economy, all the way to the money they put into Columbia, as well as the salaries and stuff and the jobs that they offer this close into Columbia as well. Now, what I want to get into is VA benefits. I am not a lender. I am a real estate agent. I deal with lenders all the time. So I want to make sure that you know the stuff I'm doing is basic stuff. When I tell people I have my own lenders, one of the joys, which I've explained in some of my videos, of having me as a real estate agent is I'm available. I answer all my calls. I communicate really well. I get back to people really quickly, always available. Well, because I'm like that, I expect my lenders to be like that too. So I have a number of lenders that I talk to, and it's not somebody like with Bank of America or Wells Fargo. My lenders, you have their cell phone number and you can get hold of them most anytime. They are available, communicate well with you just like me because their expertise is the lending. My job is to set you up with them. But what I want to do is tell you some of the VA benefits that come with this lending. Like, for example, you do not have to put any money down on certain VA loans. You can finance up to 100% of the loan. I know certain loans that people have gotten money back in going to buy a house. So there are certain ways you've got to trust your people and who you deal with when you are using them, which is why I have a list of people that I will only deal with when it comes to VA that have done many VA loans. And that can be a big barrier for someone buying a house that they do not have to put in. Well, if you're a veteran, if you're active, if you're a spouse or anything like that, then you can possibly get it to where you do not have to put anything down going into a VA loan. With a conventional loan, you have to have PMI, private mortgage insurance. Unlike conventional loans, VA loans do not have to have private mortgage insurance, which can possibly save you $100 or more per month on your payment when you don't have to pay that. They do have competitive interest rates as well, sometimes a little much better than conventional loans. You can get better interest rates, and interest rates are fairly high right now. When I say high, they're higher than they're around 7 to 8% versus around used to you could get a VA loan at 3% going back to COVID times. There are limited closing costs with VA loans. Many times a seller, especially in new builds, will offer money to the seller to even, which I've seen new builds up to $15,000, up to that much of closing costs. Now with VA loans, you can only, those closing costs that a seller can pay for, you can only do it up to 4% of the loan value with what you're doing. With VA, which is what we're talking about, and buyers closing costs and concessions, and they can include all of the way stuff from appraisal to taxes to insurance, your lender closing costs to lawyer closing costs. A lot of those you can use that for, but only up to 4% of the home value. Also, with a VA, let's say you're looking at a house that somebody bought back in the COVID times and they got it at 3%, and you're a veteran. VA loans, you can assume someone's VA loan. Now, there are things with that, and you got to have a good bit of money to put down. When I say that, so let's say someone did it at 3%. We'll say, just for argument's sake, to make numbers easy, it's a $100,000 loan. Well, let's say they've already paid off 20,000 of it. You can assume that $80,000, but you got to pay the 20,000 for the value of the home. Now you bought it at 100,000, but let's say it's been 3 or 4 years, so now it's appraising at 130,000. Well, you've got to pay the difference for what they owe, that 80,000, and what it appraises for now at 130,000. So you got to come up with $50,000. But if you've saved good and you can do that, you can assume that loan at 3%. So you can do that too. Now let's talk about disabled veterans. Being here in South Carolina, if you are 100% disabled, you can get exempt from your property taxes with a VA loan. From everything I've heard, it's a pain and a ton of work to go through the VA to get labeled as 100% disability. But if you're partially or 100% disabled, then you can go in, you're exempt from property taxes. I have a number of clients that do that and have to pay no property taxes. Now, it's only in the home that you live in. If you have an extra home, you would have to pay it on those. And surviving spouses. Surviving spouses of disabled veterans have those same benefits, to where they can still be tax exempt as well. Now, last but not least, South Carolina Housing. They have a lot of different programs, such as their Heroes program, which I talked about earlier. Their Heroes program provides down payment assistance and reduced interest rates for eligible veterans and other public servants as well. Not just veterans, they do it for firefighters, they do it for teachers, etc. But you can actually get up to $10,000 in some of those instances. They only do the Heroes program once a year, but there are other programs throughout the year too. But it gives you up to like $10,000. Now you have to be in that house for 10 years. So if you're a VA employee transferring in to Fort Jackson and then you know you're going to be leaving in 2 years, you may not want to do that, because then you have to pay it back when you sell it. But if you're doing that in 2 to 3 years, then you may have enough of an appraisal value that you can pay it back, but it helps you at the time. So there's so many options, which is where my lenders that I use all the time, they lay those options out for you and customize them to you and explain them well, letting you know the best way that you can use your money. Now for the tip. And the reason I would say, if I'm a VA, I would go for new housing, because like I said, some of these places are offering up to $10,000 and $15,000 in closing costs. But VA, you can only do up to 4%. of your of the total appraised value. So if, let's say, that 4% is only $10,000 and they're giving you up to 15, what can you do with that other 5? You can only do this with VA. And I just learned this. Like I said, 10% of lenders, 90% of lenders do not even know about this. 10% know about it and can help you out with it. But I'm telling it to you now so that you can get this. That other 5,000 does not, just because in the contract it says up to 15,000. New builds are the only one that's going to give you this, and it says up to 15,000. Well, that other 5,000 that would be just going to the wayside, a VA lender that knows what they're doing can put that against other debt. VA allows you can put that against your car loan. You can put that other 5,000 against a credit card. I could not believe this when I heard it. So if you went the new build way and you've already used the 4%, but you have extra laying over, you can put it toward debt that you have. That is insane. I did not know you could do that. This video has been all about VA benefits and how they relate to military bases here in Columbia, South Carolina, and why this is a military town. Call me and I'll be glad to tell you even more about it. I'd love to help you move in here while you're buying or selling a house. Go ahead. Best way is to set up like most people do. They set up a Zoom calendar invite with me so that we can customize it to your plan. To all our veterans out there that work for our military, that do it, young, old, veterans alike. My dad, both my granddads, all served. I have friends. I did not personally serve, but I have friends that did. Look at me. Thank you for your service, because it's something I did not do, but it's because of you that we live in a country like we do, and you're willing to put your life on the line in doing that. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for all you do. And till the next video.